Hello and welcome back. This is episode number 12. After a long hiatus, um, we have, a very long hiatus. Some things came up in my life, had COVID, dealt with some other stuff, and then it kind of felt weird about continuing this. But I have Montana here, and we've hit over 10,000 downloads, and the war in Afghanistan is finally over, so we decided to do a podcast just talking about Afghanistan and how fucking stupid it is.
But it was. What do you mean stupid?
It was pretty fucking stupid. So, another thing that happened, unfortunately, since I've recorded again, was Seth Hughes, who was mentioned in my episode with Pokies, and in episodes earlier, and in the video that Drew and I narrated and put on YouTube. Fortunately, he took his life, and so we went to Texas, San Antonio, to go to that funeral. Poquez was what was his title? He was the orator. Was that the right word?
I had no idea.
He led the ceremony, and he did a really good job, and it was sad circumstances, but it was really cool to see a bunch of our old friends. We went to this bar. I guess it's more of a bar than a pub, really, and we got good and drunk.
Yes, we did.
So that was pretty cool to see everybody.
Yeah, I saw everyone again at another reunion.
Yes, I was unable to go to the second platoon golf company reunion. I guess it was the whole company eventually, but I was busy getting my children back to Colorado, and because this whole COVID thing, I haven't been able to see my kids since December of 2019.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts. But so I got them for 3 weeks, July and August here this summer, and that was pretty awesome. Definitely needed that. So I was not able to go to the reunion. It looked like it was a lot of fun. I really want to see guys like Kreiser and everybody, and Rivera and everybody. So
yeah, talk about podcasts. We should talk to Odom.
Yeah, Odom has a good one. I've watched a couple of his episodes.
What's his podcast called?
It's
we'll have to look it up.
It's like a saying. I feel like the biggest dick.
It's probably much bigger than
I was there or something like that. Or something. I feel really stupid that I can't think of it, and I feel like the worst friend ever. Worse.
Don't worry.
Anyways, so we're here to talk about Afghanistan. Obviously, Afghanistan was in the news recently because of the complete collapse of our puppet government that we put in, and just possibly the dumbest possible plan for evacuating 15,000 Americans and everybody. And
well, I don't know about all of the big details, or the minor, not minor. What's the word? The minutia of the withdrawal is. I'm more interested in what the heck did we think we were doing for 20 years?
Yeah, no, that's why I was just saying. Unfortunately, some Marines were killed. Yada yada yada. We're finally the last soldier was the commander of the 82nd Airborne, Major General. He got on a C-17 and we flew the fuck out. So that's the point. What did we accomplish? What were we trying to accomplish? What was it like in 2009 when Montana and I were there? What's it been like since then with people I've talked to? That's what we're going to talk about. We're basically just going to complain. We're basically just going to rant about...
Well, let's not say, we're going to complain, but we're going to try to discuss why.
It's just, so last night I was sitting at the bar and I was talking with two of my friends at the bar near my house, HK on the Bay.
Some Navy SEALs?
No, they were not Navy SEALs.
Oh.
But it was interesting because they're both very patriotic Americans, and it was very obvious that the average American doesn't know how messed up Afghanistan was since 2001. And so that's one of the things I really want to talk about in tonight's episode or in general is the big thing that I noticed that no one seems to understand or care. Maybe they don't care, but I think most people just have no idea. Is that we were never winning in Afghanistan. Ever. Like, we never controlled more than 1% of the country. That's why in the
You think
last
someone
couple
thinks
months,
1%?
what's up?
Think 1%?
I'd say less than 1%. Like a tiny. We controlled barely.
What do you mean by what do you mean by control?
Um, that basically we didn't have Taliban doing Taliban things inside our base, but there was Taliban doing Taliban things in every direction around our base, like within gunshot range. You know, they were so. That's the point I'm trying. What I was gonna say was we were
Yeah, we have
supposed
all
to
this
we were
stuff.
supposed to leave in May. We didn't. So the Taliban launched a massive offensive. We had 300,000 well-trained guys coming from the president, which Drew and I are going to talk about that, against however big the Taliban is. And I think the Taliban is more than a million. I mean, it's millions of people. It's basically every able-bodied man in the whole country.
No way. I'm gonna look this up.
I mean, dude, you won't get accurate numbers, but it's most people never stopped dealing with the Taliban. So when we left, they took over the whole country in a matter of weeks because most of the people in Afghanistan are pro-Taliban or are active members of the Taliban, and that's the lie. That's the big lie that I want to point out.
And that's the things that also I would like to mention is that do you have to be pro? You don't have to even have to be pro Taliban in a culture like that where
No, you can basically just sell food to them and you're supporting them.
who are you going to side with? The Western government that blew up your country, or the people that have the exact same values you do? You know?
Yeah, no, it's pretty insane, and that's why I just want to point out is that we never made any progress there. We never changed anybody's minds besides a very small minority of people that lived around Kabul or worked with us.
A bunch of warlords paid by the State Department.
Yeah, and or they just are like, I mean, because yeah, the sad thing is there might have been some people that were like, yes, we want Jeffersonian Republic. We want a Jeffersonian Republic here in Afghanistan, but those people were such a small number compared to the average Afghani who has never left his village and fucks goats.
Yeah,
You know?
this is old. This is old news by now. Yeah, I think, and it's been probably beaten to death. But I love that the like the Photoshop or the stage photo shoot of like the women anti-Taliban fighters, and they have like AKs and they have masks on in the photo shoot, and there's like a juxtaposition of there's like a meme that has a juxtaposition of that with like the women with face coverings. Like like gotten rid of. We want to get rid of Muslim face coverings, but we're just gonna put up masks on them.
Well,
I think
okay,
that's.
we're not talking about COVID. We're
But I
not
think
talking
that's.
about COVID during this fucking podcast. We're talking about Afghanistan from 2001 to 2021. We're talking
The
about
mandate update just dropped though, bro.
yeah. Well, that's a whole. We don't need to talk about that.
Okay.
So take it from Montana and I were in a valley called Nowzad in 2009. We were an hour helicopter ride away from Leatherneck, and that was the nearest friendly forces. If we left our fob and went in any direction for about 800 yards, we would run into dug in, disciplined, well trained Taliban. And we would kill a bunch of them.
With mortar,
Yeah,
RPGs,
we would blow up stuff. And yeah, and they had every weapon system we had except for airplanes. And we would blow up a bunch of bunkers. We would put C4 in them, or we would drop bombs from airplanes on them. And then the next day, they were fucking back. That's what the point I'm trying to make is that we never controlled big swaths of the country. So when the government kept showing a map of Afghanistan and like these districts are contested. No, they're fucking not. There's tiny little bases of ANA sieged by the rest of the countryside, which was under Taliban control and never wasn't under Taliban control. It always was. We
Hey,
controlled
oh,
inside our bases.
opium farms too. We're really good at protecting them.
Yeah, but that was weird anecdotal shit. Um,
Oh yeah, you think it's just anecdotal?
I mean, we didn't have any where we were.
That's true,
Yeah,
but
it's that those stories were like weird, where it was like a deal with the local warlord and weird dumb shit like that.
hmm.
So that's why I'm saying I think it was anecdotal.
90% of the world's opium.
Yeah, but now they're about to produce like a shit ton of lithium with China and with Russia. So they're about. It's very lucrative for them right now, which they won the war, so they get the spoils. Um,
True.
so yeah, so what were we trying to accomplish there? What was our mission? What were we actually trying to accomplish? There's a few kind of funny stories that Montana and I were talking about today on the phone while we were preparing for this, where just east meets west, or west meets Stone Age, like whatever you want to call it, where we tried to impress upon them like some sort of communal pride or some sort of community like betterment, or no, I wouldn't say gentrification, but like some sort of, there's a term for it where you're trying beautification. It's like trying to help them make their downtown village nice by adding like a park bench after countless Marines were killed taking the village and lots of civilians were hurt or killed, and we give them a park bench. I mean, that's a real story. You can find there's a documentary on YouTube about, I think it's Sangin, where that happened. And that's the stupidity that I'm trying to point out. And it's impossible to get. It's hard to articulate how fucking stupid everything was. Does that make sense, Drew?
Yes, it is hard to articulate, but that's what we're here to try to do. Is so let's start from the beginning, Braxton. Was Osama bin Laden even in Afghanistan ever really? Are there conflicting reports on that?
Well, so yeah, I think that the problem with that part of the world is the Taliban or the Pashtun. They basically don't view like national borders. So for them, they kind of straddle into Pakistan. Like that culture extends over into Pakistan. And so I think he just bounced around back and forth. And maybe he was there like when September 11th happened, or maybe he was there. And there's all the conspiracies that he wasn't even
Or
involved
was
in. Blah blah
he was in
blah.
DC? It was actually just in DC.
Yeah, wherever whatever you want to believe, that's not what this podcast is about. Is we went in supposedly to annihilate Al Qaeda, which I actually totally agree with. I mean, if Al Qaeda knows shit, or our intel tells us that Al Qaeda was responsible for September 11th, and it wasn't some fucking kooky weird plan so that George Bush could
Braxton,
pass the Patriot Act or whatever the fuck people want to say, like we going for blood to me is a valid reason to go fuck people up.
now, Braxton, give me a second here. So this is the problem with I I don't know what it is. Maybe modernity with how technologically advanced we are, but given our intelligence like agencies are the apparatus that we use to find this stuff out, there's like a double-edged sword here that it has to be secretive for it to work right.
Yeah, and
Well,
so then it's hard for it to be transparent.
exactly. So we don't know how any of this actually how
Yeah,
the sauce is made.
that's kind of what I'm saying is it's irrelevant. We believed, you, me, the Marines, the average American believes that it was fucking Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden that did September 11th. So for me, that justifies going in and wasting a bunch of motherfuckers. Now,
Okay.
the issue with the Taliban, and I guess that we like tried to make a peace deal with them, and they kind of just told us to fuck off. Adding them to our enemy list was stupid. I think that was a big mistake.
We could have put all that trillions of dollars into just paying them to kill Al Qaeda.
Yeah, basically, or in like the time will tell. Maybe us against ISIS with the Taliban, that's a possibility. Like
They are nationalists. I'm pretty sure they
yeah,
want to see a cohesive Afghanistan
yeah, they do.
together.
I think they're different than they were 20 years ago, and technology's changed a
No,
lot in 20
I
years.
think that's the same. I mean, if you look at the creation of the Taliban, I mean, the Mujahideen that fought off the Soviets, a lot of the remnants of them went off to become the Taliban.
Yeah, no, I know.
And it was to have a centralized government that could fight off Western imperialism, as they would say. That's what my understanding of.
No, I agree with you on that. I guess what I was trying to say was because of the technology of basically the 90s, 2001, they their ability to be on the world stage and communicate with everybody like they're communicating now
Yeah,
wasn't there. So
yeah, they're wild.
like now they have all the technology that the average American has, which used to be they didn't even have fucking electricity or nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's that like
And
image of them in a cave, and that's like with their AK,
yeah,
like a mountainous Vietnamese soldier.
which I
But
mean that's how they fought and they did a good job. But like I mean I guess we can talk about it now. But when we were there in 2009, they had communication systems just like we did. They had radios. They had everything.
they had
Like
Chinese motion detectors.
they had all
Remember
sorts of shit.
those little bulbs we found?
Yeah, I don't actually know
That
what
were
you're talking about. I don't
oh,
remember
you,
that.
oh, you don't? I remember seeing a box of them. I don't know
Well,
how to.
I guess what I'm saying is the command structure was actually sophisticated. There was like this image in everyone's mind of the burly, not burly, but the hairy fucking goat fucker hiding in a cave. Like what you kind of alluded at. But
Yeah.
that's what they did. But that's because that's an easily defendable place, and there's a shit ton of caves in Afghanistan, and there isn't really trees and stuff to hide
Oh yeah.
behind.
Historically, the people
Yeah,
of the mountains are people of freedom, like they're the free people. So
yeah.
and it's easy to see why, because it's hard to kill people in a mountain. It's hard to
Yes,
get
and
to.
those people are like bred for it, and they evolved. I don't know if evolved, but they grew up in that shit,
Whoa,
and they can
whoa,
move around those
spicy.
mountains like no one's business.
You're getting real spicy with the evolution talk here.
Well, yeah, if you're a weird fundamentalist Christian.
No, not that. I wasn't alluding to that, you bum.
Um,
There's not enough.
so I guess yeah, they grew up in these mountains. They can move around. They have a super sophisticated command structure. Um, and no one in America knew that we were like actually up against a force like that. I mean, I don't even know how many times I've been at work or I've been talking to people and they're like, wait, you guys were like shooting guns at each other? Like, yeah, it was a war. Like, oh, I thought everything was just like drones and like special forces guys. It's like,
Which is a lot. Don't get me wrong.
which there is a lot of, but that's, I actually think because we relied on those two things a lot, that's why we lost. If we even wanted to win in the first place, which is still so back to the beginning. We invade Afghanistan to go after Al Qaeda. Which I agree with. Whatever. The Taliban says, peace deal doesn't work out. They're not going to give us Osama bin Laden for a reasonable price. So we say, fuck them too. We'll kill them, as many of them as we can. Also, I'm also okay with that. Like that's cool. But then where we fucked up and where it became really stupid was that we decided to stay and do something? Like what was that something in your mind? What do you think we were trying to do without getting too conspiratorial about
Oh,
money and about whatever? I mean, I guess bring it up. Fuck it. This is no freaking
all right, Braxton. You can't do that because my schizophrenic brain automatically goes to like,
the
oh, it's Yeah, because there's a bunch of different ways you can go with what's trying to go happen. So if you can go through the let's talk about we're talking about the special forces and drones. If you
Yeah.
look if you look at the history of like war making and violence, the more this average citizen is involved in the process of war making, the more it like correlates with the more decision making power they actually have because they're actually involved in doing the violence for the state. So you're supposed to like get something for doing the work. And when you relegate it to drones and special forces, what you're doing is basically taking away power from
The people. Like so yeah, like World War II, like a battalion of Marines lands on Iwo Jima and those are average dudes.
those are
Those
the
are
guys.
yeah, those are
Yeah.
like those are and not even average. Well, yeah, I guess
Oh,
whatever.
I mean,
They're
go
the
back.
majority of men in our country went and fought in World War II and fought.
What?
Well, sorry to interrupt, but Montana got summoned by his better half and had to end our conversation tonight. But we're going to do part two tomorrow, so stand by. I'm just getting this out there, just trying to remember how this system works, and hopefully we can do a little bit better with his audio tomorrow. But thanks for sticking around, and as always, like and subscribe, or you know, I, thanks for coming back after such a long hiatus, and I do apologize for that. It's just life happened. But everybody, have a good weekend.